Today is the situation where we can apply it and fulfill the spirit of Sharia, spirit of the Sunnah of Rasulullah Sallam, attain certainty by them, and also make things easy for our Muslim brothers and sisters, and also unite them as one community. So by means of application of something which is scientific, which is accurate, which is precise, we can solve many of our problems. The problem of disunity, the problem of uncertainty, the problem of probability, and we can give enough notice to our community and make things easy for them. There are certain ahadith in which we are told that the Prophet ﷺ started the month without looking into the moon sighting and just by counting the days. There is a famous hadith in Al-Bukhari as well as in Muslim that the Prophet ﷺ ala min nisa'ihi shahran, that there was a time when the Prophet ﷺ took the oath, halaf, that he is not going to see his wife for a month. Then when 29 days passed away, ghada warah, when 29 days passed away, he went to his family or he entered his home. فَقِيلَ لَهُ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّمْ إِنَّكَ حَلَفْتَ لَا تَدْخُلَ شَهْرًا. He was reminded that, O Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you have taken the oath that you will not enter the house for a month. The Prophet ﷺ said, in the shahr yakun tis'atan wa ishrina yawma, that the month is 29 days. The Prophet ﷺ did not say, he said, in the shahr yakun, the month consists of 29 days. He did not say that I saw the new moon, or somebody gave me the news that he has seen the moon. He just said he counted the 29 days and fulfilled his oath and entered home. So therefore, my brothers and sisters, it is important for us that it is the timings which are sacred and not the wasail or not the methodology or the means. It is a mistake to make the means as obligatory as the ghaya or as the goal. Sometimes we compromise the goal just to insist upon the ritualistic means. Means are means, and they should be treated either through eye sighting or by completing 30 days or by calculation. Whatever is more authentic, whatever can determine the certainty with precision, that is going to be more closer to the letter as well as the spirit of Islamic Sharia. And we strongly believe that the calculations nowadays, they are precise, they are accurate, and by means of the calculation you can determine the conjunction, the birth of the new moon, the sightability of the new moon, and Muslims must use these calculations to make things easy for them and to prepare themselves mentally for the month of Ramadan. If the use of calculations are quite applicable in our 5 times daily prayers, in the matters of starting and ending the act of fasting, suhoor and iftar times, then it is quite capable of determining the beginning of the month of Ramadan and the ending of the month of Ramadan. Also, if you look into the word ru'ya, the ru'ya in itself can have several meanings. The word ra'a, yara in Arabic language comes for sighting, for pondering, for reflection, for certainty. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's Habib alayhi salatu wasalam says, Sumu li ru'yati wa aftiru li ru'yati, sight it, it could also, the ru'ya could also mean by means of knowledge, by means of certainty. Because the Quran has used the word ra'a and yara almost 386 times in different formulas. Alam tara kayfa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. Have you seen what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did to the people of Fil? Here you and me, or Prophet ﷺ, have not seen what happened to the army of Abraha. It means, do you know, have you ascertained what happened to the people of Fil? Alam tara ila alladhina utu nasiba min al-kitab yud'una ila kitabillahi liyahkuma bainahum thumma yatawalla fariqun minhum wa hum mu'ridun. Have you seen the people who were given the books before you? Or alam tara ila alladhina kharaju min diyarihim wa hum uluf. Have you seen the people who went out in thousands? Alam tara ila al-malai min bani Israel min ba'di Musa. Have you seen to the nation of Musa alayhi salatu wassalam? So the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam have not seen them. We have not seen those thousands of people who came out. So tara, ra'a, yara is being used for reflection, for certainty, or for certain knowledge. So in the same fashion, we can also apply the word ru'ya over here in a kind of metaphorical term in its secondary meaning rather than the first meaning or the primary meanings, which means the actual eye sighting. We have got the example of this usage in the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are told that a group of Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'in is traveling with Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in the month of Ramadan. And when the evening approaches, the Prophet ﷺ asked one of them, Anzil fajdah lana. Get off the ride and make some juice for us to drink. The person said, Law amsit ya Rasulullah. I wish you wait for the evening ya Rasulullah. The Prophet ﷺ told him again, Anzil fajdah lana. Get down and make something for us to drink. The person said, Ya Rasulullah, the day, Inna alayka naharan. The day is still there. I could see the light of the sun. The Prophet ﷺ repeated again. And when the person insisted, the Prophet ﷺ told him, Law ra'aytumul layla aqbala min hahuna, or in one of the other narration, Ya'ti min hahuna faqad aftara as-sa'i. When you see the night approaching from this side, and he pointed his finger towards the east side, if you see the night approaching from this side, this is the time when the fasting person should break the fast. So he used the word ra'aytumul layl, if you see the night coming. As he said, ra'aytumul hilal, when you see the moon. But nowadays, we interpret ra'aytumul layl, if you see the night coming from there, as if we want to know the exact timing of the night. And we determine that ru'ya by means of our calculations, by means of our watches, and by means of our calculated calendars. But we insist that ra'aytumul hilal, sighting the moon over here means the eye sighting, but ra'aytumul layl, as the Prophet ﷺ said over there, means knowing the night coming. And we have got the same example in the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the life of his Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'in, that in the evening time they will go out and look at the night. When they saw the light coming from the east, this is the time when they will offer their Maghrib prayer, and this is the time when they will break their fast. But nowadays we neither go out to look at the Maghrib time nor to look at the night coming from the east. We look at the watches, which are determined by the precise astronomical calculations, and we break our fast. So we cannot have double standards. For one aspect of fasting, which is breaking the fast, we interpret the word ra'aytumul layl in the secondary meaning, which is knowledge and which is certainty. And here, sumu li ru'yati wa aftiru li ru'yati, we still say no, it is eye sighting and it has to be with naked eye. So therefore, there is the room within the hadith context, within the actions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, within the action of Sahaba, within the action of some learned scholar of the Ummah, that yes, we can interpret this hadith sumu li ru'yati wa aftiru li ru'yati as something which is based upon knowledge, something based upon certainty, and as long as we are able to make sure that we are not compromising the timings of the month of Ramadan, and as long as we are within the established means of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, either citing or completing 30 days or counting or decreasing the month to 29 days, as long as within those four established parameters, our beginning of the month of Ramadan is going to be valid, our fasting is going to be valid, and inshallah our acts of ibadah are going to be valid. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not want to make our life miserable by fasting or by this deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the Quran has told us, Taha ma anzalna alayka al-Qur'ana litashqa. He has not revealed the Quran to make the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam or our life miserable. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. He wants to make things easy for us and does not want to make things difficult for us. So if calculations can make things easy for us without violating the basic principles of Sharia, then those are closer to the spirit of Islamic Sharia, and there should not be any problem using them. Now the question comes that there is no text, many of the scholars would say, that there is no text which allows the use of calculation in the matters of ibadah. And we are also told that the majority of the scholars, they refuted or they denied the use of calculation in the matters of especially the month of Ramadan. My argument would be that the same text which have allowed their usage for 5 times daily prayer, for suhoor and for iftar times, are the same text which allow us to use them for affirming or the negation of the month of Ramadan. I mean, nowadays, majority of the scholars, they agree that you can use the authentic and precise calculation to negate the witnesses or to negate the month of Ramadan. I mean that if somebody comes and gives us the witness that the month of Ramadan has started, or he or she has seen the new moon, and the calculations and the astronomers, they authentically refute those claims and say it was not in the horizon, or the moon could have not been seen, then calculations are used by many of the scholars, by many of the Muslim governments to refute or to negate those witnesses. So I would say that the text or the proofs which our scholars are using to apply calculations to negate the witnesses are the same text which are allowing us to use calculation to affirm the month of Ramadan. The same hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ said, فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَاقْدُرُوا لَهُ, is kind of what affirmative clause. It says that when it is cloudy, you use the calculation. So using the calculation or estimation is affirmed by the hadith. There's no text in which he said that use the calculation only to negate the month of Ramadan. So if our scholars are allowing the calculation to negate the month of Ramadan, they should allow the usage of calculations to affirm the month of Ramadan. And I strongly believe that this is within parameters established by Rasulullah sallam, and this is in line with the actions of many of the learned scholars of this ummah. And I strongly believe that with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it can give us a proper solution to a chaotic situation which takes place during the month of Ramadan or before the month of Ramadan, and can make the Muslim ummah focus upon its original ghaya, which is fasting in the month of Ramadan, taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and spiritual benefits from the month of Ramadan.